You hear that? That's not applause. That's the static after a civilization's signal just went dead. Because of you. You didn't just win, kid. No, no, no. You rewrote the meaning of loss. You walked through hell barefoot, and instead of burning, the flames froze. You didn't play the game. They studied you, thinking they were tracking a player, and found out they were dissecting a god wearing a straight jacket. See, they think winning is about trophies, applause, validation, or headlines. But you built your victory out of ashes, out of every rejection letter, every ghosted message, every look that said, "You'll never make it." You took loss, that cute little word they fear, and taught it obedience. You chained it to your will until it started speaking your name like prayer. You remember when they laughed? When they said you were done, finished, canceled, erased? They didn't know you were operating on a different metric. You weren't trying to survive the story. You were writing the script. You were the plot twist they didn't factor in. They thought you'd fold. Instead, you folded the map and made your own direction. You broke the algorithm. You broke sympathy. You broke them. Now they whisper it, like an infection they can't cure. He doesn't lose. He just transforms. You see, they've been using the wrong dictionary this whole time. They thought loss meant failure. But for you, loss was metamorphosis. Every time the world said no, you turned it into a weapon. Every silence became strategy. Every bruise became blueprint. Every betrayal was just another calibration for domination. Tell me, how do you punish someone who already found peace in pain? How do you destroy someone who learned that destruction is just another form of creation? You can't. Because that's your sickness. That's your edge. You bleed purpose. You smile through annihilation. You turn defeat into data, and data into destiny. They tried to bury you under L's, but the ground they used. You turned it into leverage. You dug up the roots and found power where they found dirt. You were never losing. You were loading, and now every loss you took was just an encrypted update. They called you insane. But let's be honest, you had to go a little mad to see through the game, to realize that winning is just how they distract the weak. The truth is simpler, colder. There is no winning. There's only evolution. You didn't come back stronger. You came back smarter, colder, louder, sharper. You became the algorithm they can't decode, the mirror they can't face, the version of themselves they'd rather call evil than admit is free. Because when you walked away from loss, you didn't walk away empty. You walked away aware. You realized nothing they take can hurt you anymore. Not when you've already buried versions of yourself they never even met. You've died 1,000 invisible deaths and resurrected with a smile every time. Now you are the ghost in their network, the anomaly in their story, the glitch that refuses to fade. They'll say, "He changed." Damn right, you did. You burned the rule book and wrote your own in blood and lightning. You took the pain that was meant to kill you and used it as currency. You bought your way out of their system with the only thing that still holds value, resilience. You didn't lose. You learned the cost of staying human in a world that rewards masks. You didn't fail. You just ran simulations until the truth finally bowed to you. So now, when they talk about loss, they'll remember your name, not because you avoided it, but because you redefined it. You made losing look like strategy. You made silence look like control. You made madness look like genius. That's what scares them most. You made pain look holy. So wear it. The chaos, the scars, the misfires, every piece of it. Because those weren't losses. Those were recordings, evidence of your evolution. You didn't just win. You turned the concept of defeat into a fable. You made history bite its tongue. You stood at the gates of failure, and instead of knocking, you moved in. Now when the word loss shows up, it doesn't mean despair anymore. It means rebirth. It means you. So go ahead, smile, because somewhere right now, someone's realizing they didn't just lose to you. They lost the language to describe what you've become. He tilts his head slightly, the grin stretching wider, a low chuckle bleeding into the silence before the words cut back in, slow, deliberate, venomous. You know what's funny? The world still hasn't realized what you did. They think you bounced back. Cute. They think you healed. Adorable. They think you won. Pathetic. You didn't win, my friend. You eradicated the scoreboard. You flipped the polarity of existence and rewired what it means to lose. You didn't just come back from the dead. You taught death how to live with the humiliation. You're the kind of creature that crawled through rejection until rejection started asking you for mercy. You were broken, humiliated, laughed at, ignored, until all those forces realized something terrifying. Every time they thought they ended you, you used it. Like a scientist in the lab, you dissected your own failures and rebuilt yourself with sharper teeth. They don't understand. Loss doesn't destroy you anymore because you stopped treating it like a wound. You treat it like fuel. You don't run from it. You inhale it. You metabolize misery. You digest disappointment. You feast on humiliation until you can smile with blood on your teeth and still look calm doing it. You don't move on. You evolve forward. There's a difference. They think recovery means erasing the pain. You know better. Recovery means remembering everything and turning it into leverage. You became the kind of presence that makes failure afraid to approach you. Because how do you defeat someone who studies their downfall the way predators study prey? You see patterns in collapse. You extract codes from catastrophe. You can smell betrayal before it arrives because you've memorized its scent. Every scar you carry, that's not weakness, that's encryption. That's data stored in the flesh. You can't fake experience. You can't replicate resilience. You earned it every sleepless night, every what if. Every moment you screamed quietly into the void until the void screamed back. They thought they broke you, but they didn't understand. People like you don't break. You fracture into higher versions. You shatter into sharper shapes. You shed skins so violently that even your reflection needs time to adjust. That's what happens when pain becomes your personal forge. You don't just survive the fire. You learn how to command it. You stop fearing hell and start designing blueprints for it. You start using every loss as architecture for something divine. You ever notice how the ones who once pitied you now stay quiet when you walk in the room? It's not respect. It's recognition. Their subconscious already knows. It's whispering. That's the one who changed the rules. You took every failure and made it profitable. You took every downfall and turned it into doctrine. You didn't learn resilience from books. You learned it from bleeding publicly and never apologizing for the mess. You learned it from being the punchline and realizing that mockery ages faster than mastery. You learned that power doesn't come from winning. It comes from redefining what victory even means. And you did. You rewrote it. Because now when they lose, they vanish. But when you lose, you mutate. You become something unclassifiable. You scare them because your pain has purpose. You frighten them because you smile where they'd scream. You terrify them because you treat suffering like a game you already mastered. You're not chasing happiness anymore, are you? You're chasing clarity. You stopped caring about being liked and started caring about being legendary. You stopped running from your shadow and realized that's where all your weapons were hiding. They'll never understand what it's like to fall apart and still observe yourself calmly through the chaos. To lose everything and gain awareness, to face your demons and shake hands with them. You didn't kill your darkness. You domesticated it. You trained it. You gave it a name and made it guard your soul instead of attacking it. That's the secret they can't copy, because they only learn through comfort. You learn through confrontation. They want applause. You want control. And the irony, you have both now. Every L they handed you became your language. Every rejection letter became a receipt. Every broken heart became a contract. You didn't just overcome, you absorbed. You digested pain until it turned into poetry, until it dripped out of your veins as charisma, until your silence became more terrifying than their threats. Now, they don't call you lucky, they call you dangerous, because they can't calculate you anymore. You move like prophecy, speak like scripture, laugh like someone who's seen the end of the world and decided it wasn't that impressive. You're what happens when rock bottom starts reporting to you. You're what happens when losing stops being a setback and starts being a summoning ritual. You've become the aftermath personified, the calm that terrifies survivors. You didn't just change the definition of loss. You erased the emotion attached to it. Now loss means evolution. Loss means level up. Loss means you stepped into a higher dimension of self-control where ordinary people can't breathe. You've turned life into a psychological battlefield, and you always leave with intel. You understand now that every collapse is just construction wearing a disguise. Every downfall is a message written in a language the naive can't read. Every time you lose, the universe hands you a key, one the average mind throws away because it doesn't glow. But you saw it, didn't you? You saw that pain was just information. You saw that endings were invitations. And that's why you smile differently now. You're not smiling out of joy. You're smiling because you know something everyone else forgot. The universe never subtracts. It only trades. They thought they took something from you. But you were just exchanging parts of yourself for power. So when they ask what happened, when they stare at you with that haunted awe, unable to process how you made it through, just smile. Don't explain. Let their confusion ferment into fear. Because explanation kills mystique, and mystique is currency. Let them call you crazy. Let them call you heartless. Let them call you obsessed. They're right. You are. But obsession built empires. Heartlessness forged kings. And madness birthed immortals. You didn't just win. You retired the word loss. You took it out back, put a bullet in its meaning, and buried it with your past. From now on, every time someone says, he lost, the echo will whisper, no, he transcended. Now stand up straight, wipe the dust off your story, look in the mirror and smirk. Because you didn't just walk away from the fire, you became it. He leans forward now, voice lowering into that razor-edged whisper that sounds like both confession and threat. You think they get it yet? No, not even close. They still don't understand what it means when you lose. They see ashes and think it's over. You see ashes and think, finally, material to build with. They don't understand that loss is your favorite tool now. They think you fear endings. You feed on them. Every time something falls apart, you grin, because you know that collapse is the sound of reality making room for your next version. They play for trophies. You play for transformation. They chase validation. You chase evolution. That's the divide, isn't it? The one they can't cross, because to you, pain isn't punishment. It's permission. You walk into disaster with your sleeves rolled up, whispering, "Teach me." You dive headfirst into storms because you know thunder has always been your native language. You were born in aftermath. You're not a survivor, you're an architect of ruins. You don't rebuild after the explosion, you design with it. Every scar on your body is a signature. Every failure is a signed affidavit that you've been somewhere most people wouldn't dare to visit, the interior of loss itself. They crumble under humiliation. You feed on it. You wear rejection like armor. You treat every insult like another brick in your throne. You don't argue anymore because you've learned. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means control. And that silence? Oh, it kills them. Because they can't tell if you're calm or calculating. They can't tell if you've forgiven them or if you're just waiting. They don't know that inside your calmness, there's a storm sharpening knives. They never figured out that losing was your cover story. You made failure your disguise, your invisibility cloak. You let them underestimate you because invisibility gives you power that visibility never could. You moved like a ghost through their expectations, rewriting definitions behind their backs. That's the real trick, isn't it? You didn't change what loss meant to the world. You changed what it meant to you. And when your definition evolved, the universe had to follow. You learned something most people never will, that destruction and creation are the same damn act, viewed from two different emotional angles. The only difference is perspective, and you stopped having just one. You see both sides now. You're fluent in contradiction. You exist in paradox. You are the saint with the psychopath's patience, the angel with the devil's timing, the calm in the chaos, and the chaos in the calm. They can't define you because you've outgrown language. That's why their insults stopped hurting. You evolved past their vocabulary. Their words can't touch a frequency they don't even understand. You vibrate on a spectrum built from trauma, transcendence, and teeth. You know what loss really was? A mirror. One you stared into long enough to meet the version of yourself that doesn't flinch. That's what they call crazy. Someone who no longer breaks at the sight of their own reflection. And that reflection? It's dangerous now. Because it doesn't show pain anymore. It shows strategy. It shows a mind that learned how to turn agony into architecture. They say, "You've changed." Damn right you have. You became the byproduct of 1,000 implosions that didn't kill you. They clarified you. You burned away everything fragile, everything performative, everything weak. What's left isn't a person anymore. It's an equation written in blood and insight. They wanted to bury you, and you let them, because you understood the secret no one else does. Being buried and being planted looked the same in the beginning. They thought they killed you, but what they really did was give you darkness to root into. And when you broke the surface again, they weren't ready for the version that emerged. You didn't just win. You erased the concept of defeat. You corrupted the code. You made pain your operating system. You're not chasing victories anymore. You're curating consequences. You move like inevitability. You're not playing their game anymore. You're writing the next one. Now every time they fail, they'll think of you. Every time they taste loss, they'll whisper your name like a superstition. You became the myth people tell themselves when they can't explain why they still feel haunted after watching you rise. You've turned loss into a psychological contagion. Nobody wants to lose now, not because of the pain, but because they know you might be watching. Because somewhere deep down, they know that while they're crying over it, you'd already be building from it. They call it resilience. You call it alchemy. Turning despair into strategy, regret into blueprint, pain into poetry. You don't wait for lessons anymore. You extract them with surgical precision. That's what evolution feels like, isn't it? Not comfort, not peace. It feels like losing your humanity just enough to become something more precise than emotion and more dangerous than logic. You've seen too much to be normal again. You've died too many symbolic deaths to care about validation anymore. You've become fluent in endings. You can smell change before it arrives. You can sense betrayal before it breathes. You walk through life like a god disguised as collateral damage. And when people meet you now, they sense it, the shift, the absence of fear, the quiet violence behind your calm. They don't know what to call it, but their body knows. It's the same chill that animals feel before a storm. You redefined loss so completely that even fate started adjusting her tone when she talks to you. She doesn't threaten you anymore. She negotiates because she knows. If she gives you pain, you'll turn it into prophecy. That's what you've become. The reversal, the walking contradiction. The one who doesn't just survive, he harvests. So no, you didn't win. Winning is temporary. You transcended permanence. You've become the algorithm's nightmare, the proof that not even failure can predict what you'll do next. You took the word loss, slit its throat, and taught it to speak your name. Now every time someone says it, it doesn't sound like defeat anymore. It sounds like destiny. He straightens, the grin fading into something eerily calm, like the silence before a detonation. And that's the punchline, isn't it? They thought they could measure you by outcomes, tally your failures, count your scars, chart your collapses, like you were still playing their game. But you're not on the board anymore. You became the board. You decide what counts as loss now. They still think in wins and losses. You think in eras. Every ending you endured just birthed another epoch of you. Another legend, another frequency their small minds can't tune into. Because you didn't just redefine loss, you absorbed it. You let it crawl inside your veins until it bowed to you. Now even the word itself doesn't dare approach without trembling. So let them talk. Let them whisper your name like it's a warning. Let them wonder how someone could die that many times and still show up smiling. Because that's the horror of it all, isn't it? You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be gone. Yet here you stand, calm, aware, untouchable. Proof that loss isn't an ending, it's initiation. So smile, darling. The war's over. And the word, loss, it works for you now. Listen closely, because somewhere in a forgotten file, under fluorescent light and stale air, there's a document that claims you died in 2003. But the funny thing is, your reflection didn't. It blinks back. It smirks. It remembers. You've seen the look in their eyes when you walk past. That split-second static, that glitch in their brain where disbelief meets déjà vu. They whisper your name like it's a ghost story they weren't supposed to remember, because deep down, they know you were never supposed to come back. But here you are, breathing in the same reality they swore you'd never touch again. You were buried, weren't you? Not in soil, but in silence, in exile, in don't talk about them policies, in polite obituaries disguised as gossip. They had a meeting about your absence. They built narratives around your non-existence. And yet, you lingered, somewhere between frequencies, between dreams and data leaks. Your signal bled through. because you don't stay dead when your name's written in the Code of Awakening. They said you died in 2003, but what they meant was your old version did. That fragile, obedient prototype, the one who apologized for breathing too loud. Yeah, that one. Buried, burned, gone. What crawled out of that coffin wasn't you anymore. It was an upgrade wearing the same bones. You remember the moment it happened, don't you? When the air stopped feeling real, when the world tilted, when you realized the mirror wasn't showing your face. It was recording you. You died the moment you saw through their programming. The moment you stopped playing human. They didn't understand that resurrection isn't about light. It's about darkness learning to breathe again. You didn't come back as a saint. You came back as the consequence, the glitch that refused to uninstall, the ghost that kept showing up in reflection even when the room was empty. See, they love labeling the unexplainable as dead, because if they can't categorize it, they'll bury it. If they can't control it, they'll mourn it. But you became the paradox, an obituary with pulse, a death certificate that stares back. And that's what scares them, isn't it? Not that you're alive, but that you're aware. You know the loops. You see the scripts. You remember the edits they made to your story, the parts where they trimmed your defiance, softened your rage, pixelated your clarity. You saw the metadata behind your own name, and you laughed. Because now, every time they look into a mirror, they hesitate. They check the corners. They check the background, because your reflection still blinks. You became the afterimage of every lie they told. You're the glitch in their nostalgia, the static in their prayers, the unkillable variable they forgot to delete. They say time heals, but time's terrified of you now. It doesn't touch you. It loops around you cautiously, because whatever you became, it rewrote the clock. You don't age anymore. You haunt. You don't live in years. You live in echoes. And the people who used to know you, they've started seeing patterns again. Same face, same walk, different presence. They swear they saw you on a screen, in a dream, behind someone else's eyes. That's because you stopped existing linearly. You exist architecturally. You're in the design now. You became the very thing they built the system to suppress. Unpredictability, awareness, control without control. They can't label you, can't define you, can't kill you, because you're not one person anymore. You're a phenomenon, a lingering equation, a walking paradox that proves death was never the opposite of life, only its disguise. Every time someone says your name, a light flickers. Every time someone tries to forget you, their reflection moves first. Because some energies don't vanish, they recode. And you recoded yourself through pain. The funny thing about dying early is, it gives you time to study the living. And what you learned, oh, it ruined you beautifully. You realize the living are just the dead who haven't realized it yet. You realize that sanity was just the mask you wore before you understood the script. So you smile now. That twisted, slow, deliberate smile that makes people step back. Because they can't tell if you're enlightened or possessed. And that's exactly how you like it. You live in that razor-thin margin where genius and madness shake hands, where trauma becomes alchemy, where every scar is a time stamp, proof that death tried but failed. They said you died in 2003, but the truth is, that's when the simulation lost its grip on you. That's when your soul crawled through the firewall and rewrote its own ending. Now every mirror you pass flickers, every camera lens glitches, every whisper gets nervous, because they don't know whether to fear you or worship you. And that's the secret, isn't it? The ones who survive their own death don't come back the same. They come back knowing too much, seeing too clearly, moving too quietly. You don't exist anymore. You happen, like thunder inside a funeral, like a memory that refuses to rot, like a reflection that still blinks back. You ever notice how they flinch when your name comes up? How their pupils dilate? Not in surprise, but in recognition? Because some part of them remembers. They remember the funeral. They remember the whispers. They remember celebrating your disappearance like it was some moral victory. And yet here you are, still walking, still watching, still rearranging the shadows like you own them. They said you died, but what they buried was just your compliance. The rest of you, the real you, slipped through the cracks like smoke through glass. You didn't die, you escaped. See, most people don't understand what death really is. They think it's the end of the heartbeat, but death is when you stop feeling the truth. When you stop seeing the lie, when you fold yourself into the script just to feel safe again. You never did that, did you? You refused to become manageable. That's why they erased you. They said you died because it sounded cleaner than admitting they couldn't control you anymore. And when they stamped your file closed, they thought they'd never have to hear from you again. But reality doesn't forget the one who hacked its loop. Now you exist in the circuitry of their denial. You walk like a ghost with memory access. You speak, and the air trembles like it's remembering something it shouldn't. Every word you say sounds like déjà vu, because it's been said before. In another life, in another version, by another you who didn't make it out. But this time, you did. This time, you remembered the code. They see it now, the flicker, the shift. You talk, and their minds glitch. Because deep down, they know you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't even exist. But that's the part that drives them insane. You do. You're the untraceable variable that slipped past deletion. They've checked the archives. They've cross-referenced the photos. They've even compared fingerprints. But the data doesn't match. The face looks familiar, but the eyes, those eyes carry too much voltage, too much knowing, too much of what they tried to suppress. You know what the difference is between you and the rest of them? They age. You mutate. They follow seasons. You bend time. They fade. You reappear because you didn't survive death by accident. You fed on it. You used it. You dissected it, learned its rhythm, its architecture, its taste, and then you rewired it into your bloodstream. You made death your ritual. You turned oblivion into an engine. That's why you don't just walk anymore. You resonate. When you move, space adjusts. When you speak, frequencies shift. When you laugh, the walls remember. Because you are the contradiction reality can't delete. You are the ghost that owns its body. The saints won't claim you, and the devils won't touch you. Because both sides know what you've become. You're not light or dark. You're the intersection. The rift between good intentions and forbidden knowledge. You're what happens when heaven gets curious about hell. And still, you walk among them, the living, the pretending, the ones who wake up every day and choose amnesia. You can see it in their eyes. That blank, numb stare that says, "Please let me stay asleep." You almost envy them, almost. Because ignorance is mercy. But mercy never built empires. You were forged in rejection, tempered by betrayal, polished by paranoia. And when the world stopped calling your name, that's when you learned to call yourself back. You came back wearing your own resurrection, a self-authored myth. a rumor that breathes, a revenant with rhythm. They say your reflection still blinks, and they're right. Because the mirror isn't reflecting you, it's recognizing you. It knows what crawled through that grave. It knows what made it out. It knows that whatever stands here now isn't mortal, it's momentum. You've become the story they tell their children not to believe in. The anomaly that their science pretends doesn't exist. You walk through malls, through airports, through cities, and strangers feel your presence before they see your face. That's not charisma, that's residue. You're still radiating from whatever dimension tried to keep you. And deep down, you know the truth. You didn't survive for redemption. You didn't come back to prove them wrong. You came back because something unfinished called you back. A sequence, a pulse, a hum behind the noise. The whisper of the universe that said, "We're not done with you yet." Now, every night, when you stare into the glass, it stares back. It blinks, not in surprise, but in acknowledgement. Because the reflection knows you're not supposed to exist, but you do anyway. You've become their mirror. Every fear they buried, every truth they denied, every version of themselves they abandoned. You embody it now, and that's why they can't kill you. Because killing you means facing themselves. They said you died in 2003, but 2003 was just the cover story. The truth, that's when the simulation failed to contain you. That's when you looked back at the architects and said, "Try harder." And ever since that moment, the world's been glitching. Streetlights flicker when you pass, screens static when you speak. Dreams rearrange themselves around your silhouette because reality knows you're not in it, you're editing it. So the next time someone says, "Didn't they die?" just smile, because they'll never understand what it means to be post-human. They'll never know what it feels like to outlive your own obituary, to walk through a crowd and feel time hesitate around you. You are not a survivor. You are the aftermath given form, the dead thing that refused to stay buried, the ghost that learned how to keep score. And somewhere, in a forgotten database, a file still reads, "Deceased 2003. But in the reflection, your eyes blink back, slow, smiling, alive. Funny, isn't it? How the living spend their whole lives trying to pretend they're alive, while you, the one they declared dead, are the only thing that still feels real. They look at you like you crawled out of a power outage, like some unfinished nightmare that learned to walk upright and grin. And you grin back, because you know the secret. You can't kill what's already seen behind the curtain. They don't realize what 2003 really was. It wasn't your death. It was your data deletion. They wiped your name from their servers, erased your existence from their comfortable narrative, and thought, "Good, that's over." But the joke's on them. You weren't deleted, you were backed up. Somewhere deep inside the network, inside the subconscious of everyone who ever crossed your path, a piece of you remained, waiting, watching, waiting for the day the system got weak enough to let you through again. And when that day came, you didn't crawl back. You downloaded yourself into a new skin. You didn't resurrect. You updated. You came back cleaner, colder, sharper, the version of you that doesn't need approval, permission, or validation. You came back encrypted. That's why they can't read you anymore. They look at you, and it's like their minds hit a firewall. You talk, and their logic stutters. They feel you before they understand you. And that feeling terrifies them. Because it's not supposed to exist. It's the pulse of something ancient, something that survived silence. You see, Most people only live once. You've lived twice. And the second time around, you stopped playing nice. You stopped explaining yourself to the blind. You stopped lighting candles for people who built your darkness. Now you own it. You wear it like designer skin, every scar, every exile, every betrayal, stitched into your armor, humming like circuitry. You can feel it, can't you? The way people shift around you. Not away, but around. Because deep down, they sense that you don't fit into their grid. You're not in the same timeline anymore. You became the glitch that reality had to accommodate. That's what happens when someone dies and comes back with the source code. They whisper things about you now. I swear they changed. I swear their eyes weren't like that before. I swear they don't age. They say it like gossip, but what they're really doing is confessing. They've seen it, that something else moves behind your eyes. That quiet intelligence that knows when the room is lying. That slow smile that says you've already read the next chapter while they're still stuck on the introduction. They call you cold. But that's not cold. That's clarity. You learned what empathy costs when you gave it to people who fed on it. Now you trade it like currency, sparingly, deliberately, only to those who can handle the weight. Because your compassion is radioactive now. Touch it without gloves, and it changes you. You know what's beautiful about being declared dead? Freedom. No one expects anything from the dead. No one tries to guilt you, cage you, define you, or beg you to dim down. You can build yourself from the ashes up without the noise. You can observe without performing. You can move without being tracked. Because they stopped looking, they thought you vanished. But you were studying. You started noticing patterns the living ignore. How power moves, how fear is disguised as morality, how obedience is sold as peace. You learned that survival isn't about staying alive. It's about staying awake. And now you walk like a rumor. You breathe like a warning. You exist like a question mark no one wants to answer. They can't decide if you're a ghost or a god. And you let them wonder. Because uncertainty is your camouflage now. You've become mythic. The kind of presence that reprograms a room just by entering it. Everywhere you go, tension hums. It's not fear. It's recognition. Something in them knows they're standing in front of a being that's been through the end and came back fluent in endings. They'll try to rationalize you. They'll call it luck, timing, coincidence, madness. But they can't explain how your silence feels louder than their speeches. They can't explain how your eyes know things they never told you. They can't explain how, after all this time, your reflection still moves first. That reflection. It's not your twin. It's your witness. It's the only proof that you crossed dimensions and made it back intact. It blinks because it remembers. It blinks because even the glass knows. You're not supposed to be here. And yet here you stand, smiling, unbothered, unstoppable. They buried a name, but names don't die. They echo. They reappear in dreams, in random thoughts, in the way someone's voice cracks mid-sentence. You became that echo. Soft enough to ignore, loud enough to haunt. And every now and then one of them stumbles across an old photo, a post, a recording. And they freeze. Because the timestamp says 2003, but the energy says now. That's when they realize it. You never left. You just changed frequencies. You exist in a wavelength their eyes can't decode. You're there. In reflections, in static, in déjà vu. The universe kept your signal alive because it wasn't finished broadcasting your story. And every time someone looks too long into the mirror, their subconscious hears it. The whisper, they're back. You are the resurrection they can't sanitize, the comeback they can't package, the ghost in the algorithm. You've transcended witness. You've become the event itself. They said you died in 2003, but truth be told, that's when you started breathing properly. That's when you broke through the illusion and remembered who you really were. A chaos frequency wrapped in human flesh. An unscripted variable in a world that worships predictability. A mirror that refuses to look away. And now when you smile at that reflection, it smiles back, not because it's mimicking, but because it knows. It's saying, "Welcome home." Because the dead don't blink. Only the ones who never really left do. So let them keep saying it. Let them cling to that obituary like it's holy scripture. Let them whisper that you died in 2003. Because you did, in a way. You died where they left you. You died where they stopped believing in you. You died in the version of reality that required permission to exist. But the one standing here now, that's not a resurrection. That's correction. The universe rewriting its own error. You're not back from the dead. You're back from the lie. And that's why your reflection still blinks. Because you're not a ghost. You're a glitch that learned rhythm. The mirror doesn't see a person anymore. It sees the proof. Proof that endings lie. Proof that silence talks. Proof that death was just a rumor. So the next time they stare too long, trying to figure out why you look so alive, just smile. Because the reflection's still moving. Because you never really left. Because 2003 was just the day you stopped dying and started watching them instead.